25, going by number 621.
In a world overflowing with fast fashion and endless digital distractions, there's a quiet, profound tradition that offers an extraordinary blueprint for living more intentionally. Amish quilting. These aren't just blankets. They're intricate masterpieces born from a 300-years-old tradition, each stitch whispering stories of faith, community, and a deep connection to a simpler way of life. For those of us navigating the complexities of the modern world, the wisdom woven into these quilts can guide us toward a more economical, eco-friendly, and efficient existence. Imagine this. A prominent art museum proudly boasts the largest collection of Amish quilts anywhere in the world. When you see them, you immediately understand why. They possess an incredible depth and breadth in their design, showcasing a remarkable diversity within Amish quilt making. As a historian who's dedicated over 20 years to studying quilts highlights, these aren't just blankets, they are individual works of art. What's truly fascinating is that these quilts weren't originally made to hang in museums. Predominantly created by Amish women from the very late 19th century through the first half of the 20th century, they were made for practical use in the home. As one historian aptly mentions, "I wish we knew their names. Unlike paintings, most quilts are not signed." This humble and practical nature of their creation immediately challenges our consumer-driven mindset, highlighting a fascinating paradox. Items made by people who reject materialism and worldly success have become luxury goods coveted by wealthy collectors. It prompts us to consider, what if our creations, our efforts, were less about personal acclaim and more about a collective good? Beyond materialism, Amish quilting is far more than a craft. It's a spiritual practice rooted in Gelassenheit, the principle of surrender to a higher purpose. This philosophy is evident in every aspect of their work. Amish girls begin learning basic stitches at age 6, guided by their grandmothers. By 16, they're crafting pieces for their hope chests, collections of handmade items for future marriages. These quilts become tangible connections across generations of women in a culture where photographs are rare. Imagine the richness of creating items imbued with love and family history that will be passed down, instead of constantly buying new, disposable goods. The sentiment of attaching one's name to quilts, not for fame, but for family, truly emphasizes the personal connection within a family tradition. Interestingly, back in the late 1960s and early 1970s, art enthusiasts noticed striking similarities between Amish quilts and abstract modernist art. The graphic simplicity, minimal colors, and decorative devices held immense appeal for those who appreciated abstract art. As one viewer remarked, "I remember seeing quilts at a museum once as well. Those were amazing. I'm not sure if I ever had a chance to see the Amish quilts, but those look beautiful. I agree that they compare to modern, abstract art. Some of the colors and patterns are amazing. Thank you." It's so true. The visual impact is immediate, with the bold colors, geometric shapes, and the intricate stitches that bind the 3 layers of a quilt together. Mindful material choices, and unseen artistry. While we endlessly scroll through online fabric options, Amish quilters adhere to strict community guidelines, the Ordnung, which dictates acceptable colors and materials. Most communities limit women to solid colors, deep blues, burgundies, purples, and greens, with black often dominating designs. Thread selection is equally rigid, with most quilters using black, white, or matching colors to create nearly invisible stitches. Why? Because drawing attention to the stitchwork itself represents vanity. This practice has powerful implications for living green. Imagine if we were more mindful of our material consumption, focusing on quality, durability, and a limited, purposeful palette. It's a stark contrast to disposable fast fashion. The beauty in Amish quilts lies not in ostentatious display, but in the quiet mastery of the craft and the harmony it creates. Let's look at some examples of these incredible patterns. There's a center square quilt from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, which is incredibly similar in some ways to a Joseph Albers painting with its minimal colors and graphic simplicity. Then there's the ocean waves pattern, so dynamic it almost makes your eyes hurt, feeling like the quilt is spinning just by how the little triangles interact. And tumbling blocks is one of the most visually dynamic quilt patterns, requiring incredibly precise technical skills in piecing. The geometry involved is very detailed. It's 60-degree diamonds fitted together at a precise point in the center to create a cube. We also have crazy quilts. For over a century, the phrase crazy quilt has been used as a metaphor to describe haphazard things thrown together to make a pleasing whole. Take a quilt called Crazy Star. You can clearly see why it's called crazy. Just look at how many individual pieces of fabric form that background. In contrast, there's a crazy quilt from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, called a contained crazy quilt, because each of the crazy blocks is separated by a solid colored piece, making it very staid. Designing from memory. In an age of computer programs and laser-cut templates, Amish women create their complex geometric designs entirely from memory, using methods unchanged since the 1700s. They visualize intricate patterns and transfer these mental images directly to fabric through precise cutting, achieving mathematical precision that would challenge trained mathematicians. This remarkable gift develops through observation and practice, rather than formal education, as most Amish schooling ends at 8th grade. This is a profound lesson in the power of unplugged creativity. How often do we rely on technology to do our thinking for us? The Amish demonstrate that true mastery and ingenuity can blossom from focused practice and an intimate understanding of one's craft. The patterns themselves, like Diamond Center 9 Patch, Sunshine and Shadow, and Log Cabin, appear simple but achieve visual complexity through precise color placement and scale variation, creating optical illusions of depth and movement. It's a testament to geometric art rivaling computer-generated designs, emerging from hands that have never touched a keyboard. The quilting frame. While many modern quilters work alone with sewing machines, the Amish quilting frame is the heart of female community and social bonds. These large wooden structures, often occupying an entire room, accommodate 6 to 8 women working simultaneously on a single quilt, each responsible for their section but contributing to the whole. These frames are treasured family heirlooms, passed through generations. What's truly striking is that these quilting gatherings, called frolics, serve as the primary social outlet for Amish women. In a culture without television, internet, or social media, the quilting frame becomes a center for information exchange, problem-solving, and emotional support. It's a multi-generational space where community news travels and wisdom transfers naturally between elderly and young women. This offers a powerful model for us. In our increasingly isolated world, how can we create spaces for genuine, unplugged community? Imagine the richness of shared projects, where skills are passed down, stories are exchanged, and support is woven into the very fabric of our lives. The unspoken coordination among experienced quilters who establish matching stitch lengths and tensions to create uniform work further highlights this communal harmony. This physical harmony mirrors the Amish emphasis on community cohesion over individual expression. For unmarried women, Quilting frolics also serve as supervised social interactions, where quilting skills are observed as indicators of patience, attention to detail, and preparation for marriage. Most Amish quilts are still made by hand, often in these sewing circles where women use thread to create them by hand. However, some communities have adopted foot pedal or treadle sewing machines, which are powered by foot rather than electricity, depending on the specific community. The art of hand stitching. In a world dominated by machine quilting, Amish women steadfastly maintain hand quilting traditions, requiring months of meticulous labor. Every authentic Amish quilt is exclusively hand-stitched, with not a single stitch created by machine. This hand quilting involves passing needle and thread through all 3 layers of the quilt: top fabric, cotton batting, and backing, using a distinctive rocking motion developed over decades of practice. This commitment to handwork is extraordinary. Expert Amish quilters achieve 8 to 10 stitches per inch, each virtually identical in size and spacing, a level of precision museum conservators use to authenticate genuine Amish work. This remarkable consistency requires perfect tension control, honed through years of daily practice. The physical demands are considerable, leading to calluses and distinct quilter's hands that tell a story of lifetimes spent creating beauty through repetitive motion. For us, this speaks to the immense value of patience and mastery. In an instant gratification culture, the Amish remind us that some of the most beautiful and enduring creations require time, dedication, and a willingness to embrace the process. Even with modern tools, the joy of creation and gifting remains. Time and patience. Amish quilts unfold on an entirely different timescale than most modern projects. A single Amish quilt typically requires between 300 to 800 hours of hand labor, translating to approximately 3 to 7 months of work when accounting for household responsibilities. Wedding quilts and special occasion pieces can represent over 1,000 hours of cumulative labor. This slow timeline isn't seen as a burden, but as the natural rhythm of creation. Amish quilters don't rush to finish projects or count hours spent. Instead, they approach quilting as a meditative practice integrated into daily life, working steadily for 2 to 3 hours per day between other chores, often by oil lamp after sunset. This perspective offers a powerful antidote to our hurried lives. What if we embraced slowness in our own pursuits? What if we valued the process as much as the outcome? For an Amish woman, the ability to devote substantial time to quilting signifies proper household management, making it a reward and creative outlet once other duties are efficiently completed. This integration of artistic expression into practical labor represents a profound difference from the modern separation of work and creative pursuits, the economic intersection. While Amish quilts begin as practical household items, they've become an unexpected economic bridge to the outside world. Authentic hand-quilted Amish quilts now command prices between $500 to $1,500 for everyday pieces and up to $8,000 to $15,000 for museum-quality works. This thriving market provides crucial supplementary income, supporting farm operations and allowing men to avoid factory work outside the community. A skilled quilter can contribute between $3,000 to $8,000 annually to her family's income through commission pieces, often making the difference between financial struggle and stability. This illustrates how traditional crafts can be economically sustainable, offering a model for local economies and supporting a more independent way of life. It also highlights the importance of understanding authenticity. True Amish quilts contain exclusively hand stitching, never machine work, and are created by baptized members of Amish churches. Many Amish quilts, sold to tourists are actually machine-produced by non-Amish manufacturers, sometimes even overseas, then sold in shops near Amish communities. This underscores the importance of seeking out genuine, handmade items and supporting true artisans, whether Amish or otherwise. Quilts as life narratives. In Amish life, quilts mark every significant transition, from cradle to grave. An Amish person's relationship with quilts begins at birth with a small crib quilt, often in the tumbling blocks or 9-patch pattern, created specifically for the new baby. As children grow, they receive quilts marking significant birthdays and religious milestones. Young women begin creating their own quilts during adolescence, with at least a dozen completed before marriage to furnish their future homes. The wedding quilt tradition is particularly moving. An Amish bride typically receives between 3 to 8 new quilts as wedding gifts, each representing hundreds of hours of labor from women who know her well. The most special of these, often in the wedding ring pattern, is created by her mother and grandmothers, containing stitches from multiple generations of women from both families being joined. Quilts continue to mark life events throughout marriage, with new ones created to celebrate each child's birth, house raising, or significant anniversary. Perhaps most profoundly, the final quilt in an Amish person's life is the burial quilt. When an Amish person passes away, they are often buried with a special quilt lining their simple wooden casket, a final embrace from the community they belong to. This cradle-to-grave presence of handmade quilts creates a physical continuity through an Amish person's life journey. The same hands that stitch their birth quilt may contribute to their burial quilt decades later, creating a tangible thread connecting their entire existence. Symbolic language and emotional records. Different quilt patterns carry specific meanings understood within the Amish community. Jacob's ladder symbolizes the path to heaven. Broken star represents human imperfection. Tree of life celebrates family continuity, and sunshine and shadow acknowledges life's inevitable mix of joy and sorrow. Double ring pattern. This pattern symbolizes love and lasting relationships, with interlocking rings representing marriage. It's a very common wedding gift, often made by mothers and friends, and holds deep meaning as it adorns the couple's bed. Dresden plate quilt pattern. Originating from Dresden, Germany, known for its fine porcelain plates with flowers and foliage. This pattern is popular, especially for baby quilts, due to its colorful nature. Log cabin quilting pattern. This pattern features strips of material laid out to resemble a log cabin, symbolizing the hearth of a home. It can be brighter than what older order Amish might typically use. Star of Bethlehem. This really pretty pattern has an 8-pointed star and is one of the most beautiful and elaborate, as well as one of the oldest common patterns in the Amish community. It often combines the traditional plain Amish background with the beautiful starburst design. These aren't just aesthetic decisions. They are communications of values, hopes, and prayers for the recipient at different life stages. What outsiders rarely witness is the ceremony surrounding quilt presentations. When a young woman receives her hope chest quilts around age 16, female relatives gather for a special meal, where each quilt is unfolded, its pattern explained, and advice shared about its care and the life stage it represents. Similar rituals occur at house blessings, when a new couple receives quilts for their home, with specific prayers and scripture readings accompanying each gift. These ceremonies transform simple textile objects into powerful community bonds and spiritual touchstones. The most emotionally charged quilts are those created during times of crisis or loss. When illness strikes, healing quilts may be made with specific prayers whispered into each stitch. When tragedy befalls a family, the community responds immediately by creating comfort quilts in record time, sometimes completing an entire quilt in a single day through concentrated community effort. These crisis quilts represent not just physical warmth, but the community literally piecing together support around the affected family. Perhaps most remarkably, quilts function as non-verbal emotional records in a culture that discourages open expression of strong feelings. The careful selection of colors, the tension of stitches, and the choice of patterns become subtle expressions of the maker's hopes, fears, joys, and sorrows, emotions that might never be verbalized but are preserved forever in fabric and thread. Each Amish quilt, when examined closely, tells not just the story of its maker's skill, but of her inner emotional life. A diary in textual form that will outlast her by generations. Lessons for a sustainable, mindful life. A couple who have been collecting quilts for over 50 years generously donated their Amish quilt collection to a prominent American art museum. One of the collectors recalls seeing an exhibit of American quilts at a gallery in 1973, which truly captured their attention. She thought, "This is nothing like what I imagined these quilts would be." They were especially taken by the Amish quilts, and ended up buying their first Amish quilt around 1977. They now have about 130-some Amish quilts altogether. These collectors always felt they were temporary custodians of these quilts and wanted to find an institution where their collection would be transformational. They chose a national museum because it's kind of America's museum. What are your thoughts on Amish quilts and the lessons they offer? Have you ever tried quilting or another traditional craft? Share your experiences in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tips on living a life that's good for you and good for our planet. See you next time.